Meanwhile, House Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Mike McCaul is now saying Egypt warned Israel days before the brutal attacks. He joins us more, along with former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Strategy and Force Development. Elbridge Colby is back with us. Congressman, let me start with you. Do you know for sure that Egypt gave intelligence and a specific warning that this was coming to Israel days before?
There were warning signs, Sean. The fact is Hamas have been preparing for months, maybe 6 months to a year, going undetected. We don't know at what levels that intelligence was shared with. I seriously doubt it got to Bibi, to Prime Minister Netanyahu's desk. I know him very well. If it had, I think he would have been fully prepared for this assault. But it's their 9/11, as you've talked about. And as we had a failure of intelligence, I think, we're going to have to look back on this, both Israel and the United States, as how did this happen? Why didn't we see it coming before it happened, when they were preparing for maybe 6 months to a year in Gaza before this horrific attack occurred?
Well, I mean, at the end of this, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of, second guessing how this could possibly happen. Congressman, you would agree with me, I'm pretty sure, that Israel has the gold standard when it comes to intelligence gathering. Between the CIA and Israel's intelligence forces, I think you're looking at the best in the world, taking aside deep staters that would abuse their power, which is only the upper echelon, not the rank and file in our country. Would you agree with that? So it seems like almost an impossibility that they could miss this, especially if they had a direct warning.
Correct. I think the Gaza is very difficult in terms of human intelligence, SIGINT intelligence. It's hard to break through there. But the fact is, this happened. And I think moving forward, I support Prime Minister Netanyahu's full force attack in Gaza to eliminate these terrorists from the face of the earth. I think he's absolutely right in that. I was at this kibbutz 1 year ago with Kevin McCarthy, where they had, before they dropped 4,000 rockets on them. And, I saw all these people in the daycare center, and I got a call last Sunday after the attack telling me that everyone was massacred in that village, and the daycare center, the babies and the children were slaughtered and beheaded. This is sheer evil, and all roads lead to Iran.
I agree with all of that. These are live images. Right now, Gaza under heavy Israeli fire. This just breaking, this Fox News alert. Israel has told the UN to evacuate the northern Gaza Strip within 24 hours. That means maybe sometime, this time tomorrow night, the ground war will have begun. Let me go to you, if you don't mind, Elbridge Colby, and ask you, first, your reaction, Israel telling the UN to evacuate the northern Gaza Strip within 24 hours. That is about as clear a sign that this is imminent.
Well, I think that's right, and I think this is probably a harbinger of what's to come. I think the way to look at it is President Herzog of Israel, in response to some questions from reporters, said, if somebody's preparing to shoot a missile out of their kitchen, what are you supposed to do? So, I mean, clearly, as the consul was just saying, they are taking precautions and should, and that's right. But they also have to be effective. And Hamas has conducted what is equivalent to their 9/11, and we were right to respond to 9/11 by going after Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and so forth with a sort of cold fury. And Israel has the same right, I think.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: as you watch this, this is live fire that we're watching at this hour. As you see this and you put this together with this Israeli warning to the UN to evacuate Gaza within 24 hours, it seems to me that the Israelis are making their final preparations in terms of taking out specific strategic sites in Gaza for the lead up for this war. One of the things I would be most afraid of if I was with the IDF or planning this attack and sending troops into Gaza is that I would imagine in these days leading up to this that the Hamas has set many a booby trap, probably many IEDs, probably, would attempt to stop any movement of any Israeli troops. How big a danger would that be, in your view?
I think it's very dangerous, and I think they're trying to prepare the battle space. But I mean, what we've seen, I actually take exactly your and Congressman McCaul's view about the quality of the Israeli intelligence services. But even this rightly vaunted intelligence service was surprised by an area that they really kind of control from an intelligence point of view, or have high level of surveillance over. So my sense is they are taking the precautions, but they are prepared for a bloody fight that might look like some of the expeditions they've had in the north or the 2014 campaign. It's going to be a long, hard struggle, but they have to restore deterrence, and we should have our have their back. They're not asking us to get involved. We don't want to get enmeshed in another large Middle Eastern war, but we should be able to back up our very close ally Israel. And my basic view on the president, the remarks the other night, is he was getting very much on his high horse. And I'm saying to myself, today Lloyd Austin's saying they can walk and chew gum. That's totally not right. They've been spending a lot of weapons, a lot of money. We should be in a position to do something like what we did in 1973. And unfortunately, we're not as well positioned as we should be, especially with a very close ally that's willing to fight its own battles.
Let me ask you, Congressman McCaul, and you are the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. How would you interpret Israel's comments to the UN to evacuate northern Gaza and the Strip within 24 hours? This breaking news, and what do you make of what we're seeing live unfolding right now at this hour? And that is a lot of fire in Gaza, as Israel now clearly preparing the final steps before a ground invasion.
Well, this is the second phase. The first phase was a knockout command and control operations. The second is to go house to house, like we did in Iraq and Fallujah, house to house, building to building. The difference between Hamas and Israel is Israel will warn the enemy before they attack, as opposed to Hamas that goes in like terrorists and kills women and children and innocent civilians. They are warning them because they are going in, and it is going to be difficult. I agree with the guest. It's going to be difficult, and it's going to be bloody, and they're going to try to get these hostages out, and they're going to try to exterminate every terrorist they can find in the Gaza.